Okay, first I'm going to talk about stance and guard and then about movement. Okay, so my stance is orthodox, and for this stance I want to have my left foot forward and my right foot back. And my right foot, my heel wants to be slightly off the ground with my knees slightly bent. Now, when I bring my guard up, I have my guard up with my leading hand being my left hand forward. Now my elbows tucked in and my chin tucked in. And you keep a tight guard. The chin tucked in is create a less target for your opponent to hit, and you want to keep your just body nice and tucked in, and with your chin tucked in, but you're keeping your eyes on your opponent. Okay, now I'm going to talk about movement. So now with movement, we're forward. We want to sit with our leading forward and then move back. And now after throwing a punch like a jab, the movement backwards is a slide. So right foot first, and then left foot slides back. Make sure you're keeping your knee slightly bent and your heel slightly off the ground, so nice and agile. Sideways is also either side, so if you're leaning to the right, step and then slide your foot, and then back again, whichever leading foot, that, and slide across. And for your pivot all comes from your hips, so you need to keep your guard up when you're moving your hips to move around setting to dodge someone, but keep your guard up and your core nice and tough. Nice and strong when you pivot. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the punches thrown at boxing. We have the jab, the straight cross, the hook, and the uppercut, and I'm going to start with the jab. Okay, so for the jab, I want to get into my orthodox position with my guard up. Now the jab is a punch that can be used to fill up your opponent. It's the weakest shot of them all, but it's probably the most frequently used punch as well. This is done by your weaker hand, but your leading hand. So for me, it would be my left. And when you jab, you want to step in and be as straight and basically as quickly as possible. But when you jab, you want to return it as quick as you can, like an elastic band. This is a shot that can be used, that's used by all boxers, but preferably it can be used by tall boxers with a longer reach, so they can use to fill out their opponent and keep the distance away. The next shot is a straight cross, which could usually say come after a jab. It can be used in lots of combinations. So with the 1-2, if you jab, then the straight cross is used by your dominant hand, so it'll be much stronger. It's like a jab, but it's much stronger and with a bit more power. But when you have a straight cross, you also want to return it as quick as you can. And when you make sure when you do these shots that you keep your guard up. So with my left hand, with the jab, I'll keep my guard up with my right, and with my right, with my straight cross, I'll return as quickly as possible, also keeping my guard up. The next is the hook. Now with the hook, this mainly comes from your hips and your shoulders. So again, with my guard up, my legs bent, and with the hook, you want to come across and aim for the side of the head. So coming from the hips and the shoulders is where we generate the power. So again, when you come across and you step and you come across with the hook and try and aim for the side of the head. Again, you want to keep your guard up when you hook, and you want to make sure you return your hand as quickly as back and to keep your guard up and step away once you get a shot. Now punch. Now lastly we have the uppercut. Now the uppercut is used to hit the underside of the jaw and will usually be used by your dominant hand as well. So for me, my right. Now what we want to mainly where this to come from is your shoulders and maybe your knees coming down. So with the uppercut, you want to get nice and low, come up like that, so you won't get as much power if you come out and you try and just swing up like that. You need to come in, it needs to be a controlled motion, so you come down and you swing up like that and then get back into position really quickly. So like that, and then you're back into your guard. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the defensive parts of boxing. Okay, so first we're looking at ducking. Now first with ducking, we want to make sure we get into the right body position. So we're nice and side on with our boxing stance like we would be. Legs are nicely bent and our guard is up. And we need to make sure our head tucked in, so we have basically the smallest target as possible for your opponent. And when they're coming, you want to make sure you've got really bent knees, so you're ready to pop down and get back up really quickly once they've done their cross. So cross if you like to come in. And then now, yeah, with your duck. Like I did there with the duck, you want to make sure every defensive position you move into a counter. So when you duck, you've come straight back up and you can move into throwing punches and try and counter them. Okay, so next is the block. Now block again, obviously we want to keep our guard up, but this time with our body position we want it a bit nice and tucked in. So we have, but again, our head needs to be tucked in, but we need to make sure our eyes can still see our opponent. So when we blocked it, so we're nice and tucked in, they throw a punch, we can block it like that. So you want to come in? Go. And then, go, do one more.
Yeah.
That was shit. Okay, so now we're going to talk about blocking. Now blocking, we're in a different kind of body position to our ducking. We want to make sure that our arms, again, our head is tucked in, eyes can see the opponent, guard up and everything. But now we want to make sure, obviously bent legs, now we're tucked in, but we want to make sure we keep nice and locked and keep our arms really tucked in so we can quickly move out and block our opponent if they come in to punch. And obviously again, from each counter position, if I block his right hand coming in, we can look to counter and punch our opponent and counter them from blocking their punch. Okay, so now we're going to talk about tactics in boxing. First, I'm going to start with feeling out your opponent. Now, feeling out your opponent is something that almost all boxers will do in the first couple of rounds. Okay, so what will be done is in the first couple of rounds, boxers tend to just take it easy and not look to go in and throw lots of punches and just sort of work their jab in the first couple of rounds. Now this can be used just to get out your opponent's, sort of sort out your opponent's tactics, see what they might trying to do, and try and find their weaknesses and things like that. And it can also be used to get into your opponent's head. So if you throw maybe a good early punch, then you can get inside your opponent's head at the start. Okay, so the last tactic I'm going to talk about is counter punching. Obviously, counter punching is to describe the name. The overview of counter punching is, if someone comes in to throw a punch and you use your defective techniques right. So if I parry someone, they've left themselves open, and I make sure I get in a counter punch. So if they punch across me and I can parry it properly, and I can get in a throw punch, hopefully with their guard down. And now really what you really want to make sure that the key to counter punching is the quickness of how you do it. So you need to make sure that what you're doing is correct, and your defensive, it first comes from your defensive block, parry or duck. So if you do this properly, then you need to really counter on your opponent, do it as quick as possible and get a good solid punch in as fast as possible, and then get back into guard so you can not get countered on either.